thermal coyote hunting compared to daytime coyote hunting. Like daytime coyote hunting, you need to hide the truck, set up against something. But with thermals, you can just tuck the truck in the trees and walk a couple 100 yards, throw the call out and set up. You got the cover of darkness and the coyotes aren't as leery. If you've never gone thermal coyote hunting, you have to do that.
Yeah. Can you talk to us just a little bit about the benefits of thermal? For somebody that wants to get into it, like getting permission, do you have any suggestions for that? What is your full gear list to get into it? You're giving me the itch to get a thermal and go try it. Thermal hunting has been rapidly increasing in popularity, and for good reason. It's a very efficient form of predator control, and it's just downright fun. We're joined by Shane Hofer of Dakota Dogs Down, and he gives us kind of the overview of thermals, especially Pulsar. He's a pro staff member for Pulsar, talking about optics in their product line, recommendations, coyote hunting setups, and some of his favorite coyote hunting stories. You're going to want to tune in for this one. Shane Hofer, how you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me and joining the podcast.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
And you had a late night.
Yeah, I did have a late night. I went out, got 5 coyotes. We got a 6, but couldn't find it. So 5 for sure in the back of the truck.
Yeah. That's hardcore. I mean, we got this podcast scheduled, and it's like I look up Instagram messages this morning, and it's like just 5 yotes in the back of the truck. It's like, wow, you are hardcore, dude. Yeah. Love it.
Yeah, I got back to where I was staying at about 1 o'clock.
Perfect. So walk us through. So you hunt exclusively with Pulsar. Pulsar's pro staff, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been pro staff with them for about 3 years now.
Okay, that's a pretty coveted thing. So, would you mind just talking to us how you got into that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I applied about 3 years ago. I put in my first application, and I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know how many openings there were. I just threw out my application because I had social media presence with Dakota Dogs Down. Not that it was that big at the time. Not that it's big now, but one day during Christmas, I got a phone call. And I didn't answer it at first, like, whatever, who's this? And then they called me back, so I answered it. And it was, I forgot who it was. He's not with them anymore. But it called me and said I was approved to be on the Pulsar Pro Staff team. And I actually rejected the offer. I told him I think I'm okay. And because I was busy, whatever. It's Christmas time. I got family over. I just wanted to hang up. And my dad chewed me out the next day, and he made me call him back and see if the offer was still open. And they accepted me again. So
Nice.
Yeah, and I've been certainly blessed to be on the team for the last 2 years also. Mm-hmm. I know it's a limited spot. They only have 25 open spots in the whole U.S., so certainly a blessing.
Yeah, and you kind of downplayed your social presence. Like, maybe you don't have 300,000 followers, but the content you put out is really freaking cool, dude.
Oh, thank you.
For anybody that's not following Dakota Dogs Down right now, do yourself a favor. If you have any interest in thermals at all, go follow their page. It's some cool stuff.
Yeah, I've had quite a few people tell me they love my videos, and they're the reason they got into thermal hunting. I get a message every other week saying they love my stuff and what thermal should I get, and even for SCHEELS, I talk with the SCHEELS guys a lot at the local SCHEELS in town, and they tell me they sell a lot of thermals.
Well,
yeah, it's definitely a highly trending product for sure right now.
I was actually talking with one of the associates here at the North Dakota SCHEELS in Fargo, and he was saying this year they've had a significant spike in thermal sales, which is good to see.
And you know what? I love that because I'm huge into deer, and you guys are helping control the predator population.
Oh, yeah,
so
for
I think it's just win-win for everybody.
Definitely.
And it's just a ton of fun.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely a blast. If you've never gone thermal coyote hunting, you have to do that.
Yeah, definitely put it on your to-do list for sure.
So what originally got you into it?
So about, I don't know how long, maybe 8-10 years ago. One of my dad's buddies who was in the military, he brought out a night vision spotter. I don't think it was anything special at the time, but my dad looked through it and we were just amazed. You know, he could see 300 yards in the dark. Like, wow. And that's just night vision.
Right.
So, and I don't think thermals were legal back then in South Dakota, but a couple years after that, then they legalized it, thanks to John O'Neill. He's down the southwest corner of the state. He talked with the state and got it pushed through to legalize it. But my dad got his first night vision scope, and, you know, it was nothing special by any means, but that was probably 7 years ago that we first started getting into it. I don't think we ever got any coyotes with it, but certainly got some raccoons and stuff like that. And then from there, slowly upgraded to thermals. So pretty much just had one gun. We'd share the gun at first. And I tell you what, a lot of coyotes got away at first when we first started learning. Like, you know, you don't really know coyote body language yet and stuff like that. That's a key part in getting them close enough. But slowly upgraded from cheaper thermal to a more expensive one, and then I eventually got my own and started putting the videos out, and yeah, just slowly upgraded, getting better, getting more coyotes.
Nice. So can you talk to us just a little bit about like the benefits of thermal, like hunting just without one versus hunting with one, and kind of like your setup strategies?
Yeah, absolutely. So thermal coyote hunting compared to daytime coyote hunting. Like daytime coyote hunting, you need to hide the truck, set up against something like in a shadow or something, and then you got to set up fairly close to where the coyotes will bed for the day. It's like a slough or something. Mm-hmm. And eastern South Dakota, everything is flat. Like even up here in North Dakota, everything is flat. So setting up during the day can be quite difficult. But with thermals, you know, you can just tuck the truck in the trees and walk a couple 100 yards, if that, and throw the call out and set up. You got the cover of darkness, and the coyotes aren't as leery, I guess. They're more likely to come out to you, and they'll just run in many times.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, and with thermals, you know, a coyote tends to blend in with the surrounding. But with thermals, the heat signature, you cannot hide from that. It's like a light bulb through the scope. So.
Yep, that's awesome. So, like, which Pulsar do you use?
So right now I'm running the Pulsar Thermion XL50.
Okay.
And then I have a handheld spotter. That's the Telos XL50 LRF model too. Mm-hmm. So yeah, those are right now the top of the line with Pulsar that you can get.
Okay. And when, like, how far away can one be when you start reading heat signatures and can start, like, getting ready to set up on it?
So, like, smaller animals, you can see definitely over 1,000 yards. But a cow, like, if it was on a hillside 2 miles away, you'd see it.
Dang.
Very easily.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a game changer there.
Yeah.
So, like, you have the cover of night and you can see anything within 2 miles away from you. So, yeah, I mean, you want to talk about efficiency. That's kind of the way to do it.
Oh, yeah, there's definitely no hiding with thermal anymore.
Okay. So, I mean, like, limiting factors is basically like your rifle at this point, right?
Basically, yeah.
That's crazy.
I shoot a 22 Creedmoor.
Okay.
Which is basically a 6mm Creedmoor or 6.5 Creedmoor neck down to a 22 caliber bullet. So it's like extremely flat. So at 400 yards, that bullet, the one I shoot, has like an 8-inch drop. So even at 400 or 500 yards, you aim right over the coyote, you'll hit it.
Nice. What's the furthest away you've ever shot one?
So this was a couple years ago. It was a full moon, kind of like the conditions we have now, and the coyotes seen us. You know, we weren't hiding that great, but the coyotes seen us. They were circling 533 yards. So my dad and I decided we're going to do a countdown and take a shot, and we both dropped them.
Nice.
533 yards. We got a 533 yard double. It was awesome.
That is a poke.
Oh yeah.
So do you
Love
go
it.
with your dad a lot then?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
My dad is my main hunting partner.
Cool.
Yeah,
We were talking
definitely.
about tradition earlier, so
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Is it more efficient to hunt in pairs?
I'd say definitely, especially when more than one coyote come in. You have a whole pack come in. You can get at least more than one shot off before they all run off.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause
Yeah, that
normally,
makes sense.
even with suppressors, a lot of times you take a shot and the coyote's heading out. But with the partner, 2-3 guys, you can do a 3-2-1 countdown. If they're all standing still, take a shot, get 3 coyotes.
So what's the average size of a coyote?
I'd say the average that we get around here is about 25, 30 pounds.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, the biggest coyote I've shot, which was out west, was about 41 pounds. I know I've heard stories of people shooting like 50 pounders, but I have yet to get one of them.
And they're going after like livestock. Is
Oh
that what
yeah,
they're going
many
after?
time. Yeah, during
Okay.
during calving season when the calves start popping out, they I know a few ranchers that lose quite a few calves to them. So being able to hunt while they're calving and being able to protect their land and sitting out there they definitely appreciate that.
You might
Yeah,
get some phone
I-
calls after this podcast.
Yeah, I imagine that's a great way to just get land access for
Oh,
this.
yeah,
I mean, because like if you're gonna go around knocking on doors trying to like deer hunt and stuff, like that's not the easiest thing in the world. But I imagine like coyotes, hey, can I help control your predator population? You have a little higher success rate with that.
Oh
don't
yeah, like 9 out of 10 people will let you hunt coyotes.
That's
There's
awesome.
certain like situations where they already have a guy that does it. I've run into that more than no, you just can't hunt.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. So, I mean, for somebody that wants to get into it, like getting permission, do you have any suggestions for that?
Just knock on doors and get to talk to people. Like last month, I put my name out on Facebook and joined this ranching group. Asked if anyone has a problem. I picked up 4 or 5 spots there. So
So what about, you mentioned you're using like the top of the line.
Yeah.
But you've used other ones. So if someone getting into it, where should they start?
yeah, so I mean, whatever you can afford. To be honest, like you obviously don't have to go spend 10 grand on equipment. You can buy a basic one for $1,000, $1,500 and get a nice call. Even a hand call, honestly, works just as great as an electronic call. They each have their benefits, of course, but a $1,500 thermal scope will take you a long way.
So is there a huge difference in like the image quality or resolution?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So like the higher quality thermals, so the XL one that I have now is 1024. And when we first started, it was like 256 or something, which is, you can maybe see 200 yards. So yeah, it's definitely. And with the lower quality, ID and stuff is a bigger problem. So I would definitely learn like body language. You can tell if it's a deer or a coyote walking. With those lower quality thermals, you definitely have to keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely something to think about, like safety first and knowing exactly what your target is, because it's a little bit different, like going out in the daytime and it's like, oh, I'm deer hunting, coyote hunting. You can identify them pretty easy, but like in the night, you're just seeing a shape. So you have to like be very aware of your target.
Yeah,
So,
with those higher quality thermals, there's no question. Yeah, that's a deer 500 yards away. With the lower quality thermals, you gotta definitely add body language in there and how it's moving around and stuff like that.
nice. So for somebody that's just like has never been hunting, is interested in, not hunting, but never been like thermal hunting, but wants to get into it, what is a good like price point unit? And would you recommend like having a thermal monocular too?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So there is a safety concern with just having thermal on a gun, which you're swinging the gun around, and if you're hunting with people, it can definitely get carried away sometimes with swinging your rifle around. But if you have a thermal, it can just leave the or if you have a handheld spotter, you can just leave the rifle sit right where it is and then just use that. So yeah, having a thermal spotter definitely helps with scanning quicker and more efficient, and it's a lot safer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what are some models you would recommend for the monocular and one to put on the gun?
So the new Telos model, they have, of course, several different image qualities, like the XL, which is the top of the line at the moment. But then you got the XP, which is 640. And then you got the XQ, which is 384, something like that, which is on the lower end. So if you start with the lower end of the XQ35 Telos, you'll do fine. I mean, the thermal technology has come a long way where even the lower quality thermals, you can easily see what's in the background, what's coming in, what's not.
Do you think a lot of farmers are getting into it now then too to protect their livestock? Like you said,
yeah.
like 9 out of 10 times you can go and hunt, but then there might be that one person.
Yeah, I'd say about half of the people
Okay.
we talk to have their own thermal. I don't know if they use them or not, of course, but like even checking cattle in the middle of the night, a lot of the ranchers will use a flashlight, check on them. But if you have a thermal spotter, you just look, oh yeah, they're good. Flashlight is very limited, can't really see. But yeah, with the thermal, I would highly recommend every rancher getting a thermal for checking cows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And like, if you're a farmer and then, all the crops are done and, like winters come, you don't have downtime because there's always something to do on a farm, but you definitely have something else to do. That,
Oh, yeah.
You could call it like, hey, I'm just, protecting my livestock and making sure, things are in order, or like, those seasonal jobs. It's a great thing to get into.
Oh yeah,
for
like
sure.
I mentioned John O'Neill earlier, that he does a lot of that. He has a pretty awesome YouTube channel where a lot of daytime stuff, but he also does a lot of thermal kite hunting where he sets up these kill boxes, he calls them, with a bunch of hay bales, and depending on the wind, depends which one they go to, but they have like dead cows set out where the coyotes just come in and they, like around their ranch, and they just take out tons of coyotes.
I bet. If you were to guess on like a number of coyotes you've shot, where do you think you'd be at?
So between like the group I hunt with, we've shot well over 500. But like me myself, maybe 150, 200 of them.
Okay.
So
That's
yeah,
over
I've
what,
definitely
like a
had,
5-year span or so?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've definitely had a little bit of trigger time in.
Nice.
Is it a growing concern too in South Dakota? Kind of like the number of coyotes out there?
Oh yeah, I'd say this year I've had a lot of people say there's so many coyotes running around. Even this month alone, I've had 6 or 7 calls telling to come take out a coyote that's killing their chickens. And every time I went over there and got it. So
Nice.
it's awesome. It's definitely a good testimony even for them. Yeah, like we got rid of this coyote problem.
Right?
Yeah. Just call in the sniper, huh?
Yeah, pretty much.
So you mentioned like calling. So do you call them in?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have a Lucky Duck Super Revolt, and then I have a set of hand calls around my neck on a lanyard. So I throw the collar out 80, 100 yards, play Rabbit Distress or some howls, like another coyote's in the area. And even
So the calls are different animals then?
either, so I have a Distressed Rabbit
Okay.
as one, and then just another howler.
I've never heard of rabbit.
You don't want to hear a howling rabbit.
Okay.
Like, yeah, it's not the most friendly sound in the
wish-
Right.
world.
I wish I would have brought
I know,
it.
that's what I'm like thinking right now. I was like, I really wish you would have brought these. I want to hear
Yeah,
this.
it's kind of a chilling sound, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's like a screech and a scream, and yeah, it was. Imagine like a baby crying in the middle of the night, essentially, but more shriek probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Like
I'm there now. I got it. It's frightening.
triple the pitch and make it about 10 times louder.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's some gnarly stuff. But
Okay.
you know what? It brings in the coyotes.
Yeah. So you,
Yeah.
and you
Generally
mentioned like
does.
there's some electronic ones too.
Yeah, that's the Lucky Duck Super
Oh,
Revolt
okay.
that I just mentioned. Fox Pro has a line. There's a few other brands, but I stick with Lucky Duck or Fox Pro. That's what I'd recommend. But like now, because kite hunting is becoming more popular sport, a lot of the coyotes you see, especially in more populated areas, are getting used to the electronic call. So sometimes we go set up, we see a coyote out there, and we throw the rabbit on, and that thing just turns around and bolts 'cause he knows what's up.
No, I've been shot at before with that sound. No,
That's AI.
Yeah.
I'm out of here. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
that's where hand calls can be utilized a lot better because it's more natural and it's more
Yep.
unique because only you are making that sound.
Exactly. No, that makes a ton of sense. Like pressured animals and stuff. I learned that like elk hunting out in Colorado. This was a while ago, but you know, we went out on an archery elk hunt in public land in Colorado. It was like there's a lot of hunting pressure, like a lot of hunting pressure, and everybody was blowing that little handheld hoochie mama call. So it's like, no, I'm gonna learn something different. So I got really good at like the diaphragm call, and that made a difference. Like I had a 5x5 come in just screaming, looking for something, and turns out my cousin was hunting with me and almost stepped on him on a side hill. So he got the first shot on him, and then that bull was still like, where's that cow at? So I ended up getting to put an arrow into him too. So we both got to get in on the fun on that one. But like, I really doubt he would have came in with like a call that he's heard a lot. You know, you kind of have to throw something different at him.
Yeah, and like coyote hunting, every day it's different. So like a few days ago, I didn't hunt a few days ago, but this hypothetical, the like rabbit would work. They'd come into rabbit every time, and the howls would not work. Like they'd just run away to howls. But like yesterday when I hunted, howls brought them in, and then like some nights, I always thought I was like tried to take the barometric pressure and see what that's doing, if there's like a trend where the coyotes come in or don't. And at first I thought when it's trending downwards that coyotes don't come in. But yesterday it was trending downwards and the coyotes were coming, so you could throw
There
out
went that
throw
theory.
that out
Yeah.
the window.
Yeah, there's so much variability in hunting, like whether it's temperature or pressure or moon phase or wind or time of year. You know, there's enough variables to like kind of drive a person crazy if they want to like develop correlations to all of them. And generally, like there are some that are like standard, but the more you try to get into the weeds, like, or at least I have found out anyways, the more like confused and frustrated you can get.
Oh, yeah.
And then you really need to have luck on your side too a little bit. I mean, you get really good at things like, but Lady Luck has to be on your side
Yeah.
too.
At the end of the day, we found that sometimes they come in, sometimes they don't.
50-50. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever noticed any like general patterns though? Like in the fall, my go-to is this. In the middle of winter, my go-to is this. Like other different seasons, my go-to is this.
Yeah, I'd say early on, when it starts getting colder, rabbit works really well. Like the pups are just leaving their dens, so they're looking for food and scavenging. Like about this time of year, they're getting a little more territorial, figuring out where they want to hang out. So howls worked really well, and then like January, February is breeding season, so we can use mating sounds, works really well, and more vocals, of course. So yeah, it definitely depends on the time of year.
Okay. Like it. You're giving me the itch to get a thermal and go try it.
Well, that's good. That's
So-
that's why I'm here.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully everybody else feels that same way too. But yeah, I don't have a ton of experience with thermals. Like I've been in training sessions where I've like played around with them and shot some, and they're super cool. I've only hunted with one once, and that was down in Texas, and we were hog hunting, and that was a hoot. So, I mean that. Honestly, that was, as far as like fun factor, that was probably one of my most favorite hunts, just because of like, I threw so much lead. Like my success rate was very terrible because it wasn't my gun. I'd never used thermals before. And the guy was just like, shoot until they're gone. Make sure that, we got to be safe. Like, we're going to be in areas where there's going to be cows. So you need to definitely be aware of like what animal is there and what's behind you. But like, once everything's in the clear, go ham, dude. So, and yeah, just pulling the trigger as fast as you could. You'd obviously like make that first shot count, but then when they start running away, you're flinging, because, pigs down there, like, you want to get rid of as many as you can. Yeah. Like, they're destroying fields, they're making holes that are, could potentially mess up horses in their pastures, and like, so you got to get rid of them, man. So it's like, just keep shooting. But yeah, I remember going down there, and like we had a side-by-side with a thermal on the top on a remote. So it'd go 360 degrees, and you just like drive to an area and scan. And I remember the very first spot we went to, I don't know if that was his like honey hole or whatever it was, but we go to the top of this hill, and he's like, okay, I'm going to give you a demo on this, like how everything works. But the first thing he did was he went and scanned around with his thermal on top of the side-by-side, and there was like 80 to 100 pigs around. And I'm like, whoa, this is the coolest thing in the world.
That'll get your heart racing.
Oh, yeah. He's like, no, but we have to do a safety demo first. You got to know what's going on. And I'm thinking, like, let's do this as fast as we can. They're all over there. Like, come on, let's do this. But, yeah, like, the guy we work with was awesome. Like, he made sure we were briefed on everything, knew all the safety stuff. And then we put that first stock on, and I think we shot, like, 5 of them. And I was like, this is absolutely the coolest thing in the entire world.
Yeah, that's one thing that I'd like to do. I've went hog hunting in Texas before, but just in a stand, and then you wait for him to come to the feeder. But either between that and helicopter hog hunting, that's bucket list for sure. But yeah, I almost felt like I was in like a video game when I was doing it, because like having the side by side with the thermal, and then like we had ARs, like 300 blackout with thermals on them, and we had like a tripod. So, and then we had like a helmet on with a headset. So the guy would like talk to us and tell us what to do. So he's like, all right, set up. And then, all right, we're going to move 30 yards forward on my count. So we'd like grab 2 legs of the tripod, and then he's like, okay, go. And then so you'd lift it up, and then you just like slowly move like 30 yards. And he's like, reposition. Okay. And then we'd like judge what the hogs were doing. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, if they have no idea, it's like, okay, let's move another 10 yards. Boom, boom. So then you get to like 50 yards or whatever. And he's like, on 3, shoot. 1, 2, 3. Bah, 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 bah. It's just, yeah. If you like video games and you want to get into thermals, go find yourself hog hunting in like Texas or down south or whatever, and I promise you won't be disappointed. Oh yeah.
Now, do you need different types of thermals for different animals?
I wouldn't say
really.
that. No.
Okay. So it's not specific to, like a hog.
Yeah, just find one with some clarity.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get one
I suppose
that
the
you're
smaller the
comfortable
animal,
with.
the more resolution, quality you would maybe want, or not really.
I mean, you can see like mice running around in the field. You can see them 400 or 500 yards just running around, little tiny light bulbs running around in the field, just little mice. So, I mean, you could still see them with the lower end thermals, but the definition isn't there.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's the craziest thing you've seen in the field with a thermal?
Oh boy, that's a good question.
Have you seen any like bighorn sheep or mountain lions or anything like that?
One time, this is probably our second year thermal hunting. This was actually pretty close to Sioux Falls. We set up along some trees, and this was probably about 350 yards away. There was something sitting in a tree, and we thought it was like a guy sitting in a tree stand, because it was deer season, whatever. But it was dark, so it didn't really add up. So we knew someone deer hunted there, but didn't really connect the dots then. But then the next week we went there, and then we seen it in the same spot. Something jumped up the tree. That it was a little far out with the lower quality thermals. It was hard to really tell, but I would say that was a mountain lion that jumped up the tree.
I mean,
like
if
that.
you're going to jump in a tree and hang there at night, I mean, by process of elimination, there's only a few things that can do that,
Yeah.
Yeah,
especially
for
in
sure.
that area. So I'm going to guess a big cat.
Yeah, and then that next week, I think like 20 miles to the east, one was spotted, so it could have very well
Oh,
been
yeah.
that same one.
Mm-hmm. So in South Dakota, like, are those legal to shoot?
Not with thermals.
Okay.
They have tags for mountain lions, yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
What other types of like predator animals then could you shoot?
So we do, a lot of fox are coming around. It's like 3 years ago when we first got into it, you hardly saw any fox. But now there's certain areas that we hunt now. You get rid of the coyote population and the fox move in.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah, we probably get like 20 fox a year now, too, maybe.
Okay.
And then,
Fox is up in my neighborhood right now.
Really?
Yeah. He's been
Nice.
he's been spotted just like being like a dog or a cat.
Being
you know?
foxy.
Yeah. Just like laying down.
A lot of people,
Have-
a lot of people will pass on fox
Yeah.
because you know they're cute and they're pretty, but
Sure.
they kill just as many chickens as coyotes. So
They're sneaky.
most people don't like them.
Have you noticed a correlation between seeing the fox and lost cats around the neighborhood?
I haven't heard of anything yet. There's also an eagle up there too.
Oh yeah,
so
eagles will do a number too.
one or the other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah, well, I mean, all the predators, raccoons, skunks, possums are all legal. I guess for pretty much it.
Okay.
Anything predator related.
Okay. Let's move to your gear. Like, for somebody that wants to get started that has nothing, what is your full gear list to like get into it? Like the bare essentials, anyways.
Yeah. So obviously you need a gun, your rifle, and a thermal scope. I would recommend getting a suppressor, just for the sake of not banging in the middle of in the night. But it's up to you, I guess. And then a tripod. At night we run pretty much all tripods. Throw the gun on top and just stand and scan around. A lot of people sit down with a bipod if you want. I've never really done that. And then set of collars and warm clothes and start learning. I mean, you learn by experience. 'Cause every set is different. The coyote will do something different every time. Sometimes he'll just come straight in. Sometimes he'll want to circle downwind. Sometimes he's just hanging out, not sure what to do. So, I mean, you learn as you go,
Yeah.
but you definitely want to play the wind and read the body language.
Okay. So I haven't done any thermal coyote hunting at night. Curious about clothing. Like, are you running all black stuff, or are you wearing camo, or does it really not that matter that much as long as you're comfortable?
Yeah, I'd say with no snow, it doesn't really matter as long as it's dark outside. You know, I mean, I personally wear camo clothes because that's just what I have for warmth. But you can wear all black, go out in jeans. It doesn't really matter. But when there's snow on the ground, obviously everything's a little brighter outside, so you definitely want to blend in. A
Yeah,
little more.
probably want to invest in some snow camo or stuff like that. I imagine our West River series of
Yeah.
camo would probably be pretty good for that. Nice.
And warm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There
definitely
is
warm.
that.
Like, you know, obviously it gets a little colder at night. Sometimes we go out when it's 10 below outside. You definitely want a good insulation and warm clothes because you'll freeze fast because you're just standing there doing
Right.
nothing.
Yeah. Are you just packing all this in a pack then, or what do you have?
I pretty much just have it on and then
okay.
tripods in the back of the truck. Park,
So you don't
grab
get
it.
too far from your vehicle.
Typically not if it's dark outside.
Okay.
Okay. When you're shooting off the tripod, are you standing usually or?
Yeah, I do
Okay.
everything standing.
Okay.
You should listen to that one podcast.
Yeah, we did a podcast with Matty Nelson of Seekins, and he had some really good tips for tripod shooting. You know, like a lot of it's like your pressure, you know, like, so like pushing away from the tripod and almost like pulling the gun. So yeah, like anybody that wants to get good at a tripod,
Go listen to that one.
go listen
Yeah,
or
just a
watch it
couple
on
back,
YouTube.
yeah.
That's a really good
Yeah,
segment.
shooting off a tripod definitely teaches you how to shoot, be
Yeah.
steady. And obviously a more expensive tripod will have less things moving too. And you can buy a cheaper bog pog. I know SCHEELS sells quite a bit of them. And they're a little cheaper. They'll get the job done. Or you can invest $1,000 into a Fat Boy tripod. Those things are solid.
Yeah, they really are. I tested those a little bit at a recent gun university, and there's definitely a difference. I mean, 200 versus 1,000, there should be a difference.
Yeah.
But you know, I've had a lot of good success with the bog pods too. In the things you do, like 90% of the people, that's going to work really well for you. But if like you're literally going out every day, like you're doing like buy once, cry once, get a really good one.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So it just all depends on, you know, where you're at in your hunting journey, I guess.
Yeah, you definitely get what you pay for in the thermal world and in the tripod world.
Yeah, that's kind of the way that it is with everything. You know, if you don't have a ton of money but you want to get started, you can get stuff that'll work. Yeah. But it's like then this turns into a passion and something I want to do all the time. You know, then start investing in your gear.
Yeah, a lot of people ask me if I make money kite hunting. No, but you know, it'd be easy to say. Like a lot of people tell me, I don't know how I can justify buying a thermal scope, like by paying it with, you know, shooting 100 coyotes or something. And maybe if the fur prices were up right now, they're worth $5-10. East River, Western coyotes maybe a little more, but you're not really gonna justify it. You just kind of just gotta bite the bullet and go have fun.
Yeah, but you can still justify it to your wife that way, right? Like, well, if I shoot 200 coyotes, it'll pay for itself. You know?
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's the line that I would use.
Yeah, I wish you wouldn't know.
That's interesting though. The furs. What are they doing with the furs?
They have like an auction up in Canada. Like we sent a bunch when we first got into it. And then COVID happened and kind of shut everything down, and then the market went to crap. But I think they make like jackets, like liners for jackets and stuff.
Tell Kelly. Kelly's looking for a fur coat.
There you go.
Yeah,
we got a guy that can get you some fur.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you know anybody that can sew, they can like sew you some gloves and some boots, and
that's what you should have done.
I know I should
for your gear. You know,
it'd be like
Coyote man.
There you go.
Yeah.
Have like a coyote hat and like wrapping it around.
Yeah, I'd like to. I just bought it, but it's just rabbit lined.
Okay.
But yeah, actually having a coyote one, I think it'd be like a nice signature.
Well, you should have worn that, and I have a rabbit fur coat. You should have worn that. I've never worn it.
I got nothing. I'm just a poser.
You can wear camel. Yeah.
All right, I'll stick with camel for sure. So, I imagine in 5 or more years of doing this, you probably have a couple of good stories.
Yeah.
So, what's your favorite coyote thermal story?
So you had to specify thermal, didn't you?
You know what? If you got a different,
I'll
you know
tell
what? I want two. I want the one you're thinking of right there, and then I want your favorite
Yeah.
coyote thermal story.
I'll do that. So
Perfect.
So this was probably 2 years after we just started getting into thermals. And, you know, you'd go out, you'd get one coyote, you'd be excited. Now you get one, you know, it's still awesome and fun and all that. But this set, it was our first set getting not only a triple in one set, but also 3 coyotes in one night. So, and this was a weekday. I had to work in the morning at 6 a.m. We hunted till about 4 in the morning.
Oh, nice.
It was pretty rough going to work the next morning, but this is the first triple we ever got. And, you know, we set up, and when you set up, obviously you expect the coyotes to come from upwind. You don't want them to come downwind and smell you. But we were calling, I don't remember what we were playing exactly, but we were playing, say, rabbit. And this coyote comes in downwind. Didn't give us much of a shot. By the time we seen it, he was already heading out. And it was about 350 yards. We didn't know that at the time. I just guessed, I guess. And I just Hail Married it. It was just about to disappear behind a hill. I just sent a shot. And then it disappeared. You know, I didn't really think anything of it. Okay, first coyote got away. And I was thinking to my buddy, I was like, I think I hit that. So we walk out there 350 yards. Sure enough, there it was sitting behind the hill.
Nice.
Wow.
So we dragged that one back to the truck and just set up again, keep calling. And there's 2 more coyotes that come from the other way, not downwind. And there's a huge valley that we're set up against, and these 2 coyotes are sitting about 300 yards, just walking back and forth for 20, 30 minutes. It took forever. They didn't want to cross that valley, I guess. And we decide, okay, I guess we just better shoot. So we do a 3, 2, 1 countdown, hit them both, and we were excited. You know, like first triple, first 3-dog night, and it was amazing. You know, the adrenaline's rushing through you, and you've done something you've never done before. But anyway, we go out, we walk out to get these coyotes through this valley, and there's snow on the ground, right? So this valley is like solid ice almost.
Oh boy.
And we literally slid down the hill, barely make it up the other side on the hill to get to the coyotes, and we walk up on the first coyote. Yeah, dead, nice shot. Wow. But anyway, dragging these coyotes back, which, 300-yard hike up and down a hill ain't easy.
Yeah, I imagine getting back up that hill that you slid down probably wasn't a lot of fun.
I had a heck of a time trying to drag that coyote back up that ice bank, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. We worked for about 20 minutes. And, by that time you drag 2 coyotes 300 yards, you're like half dead. And just trying to get up this hill. Oh, my goodness. Like I said, by the time we were done, it was 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, and we were just dead.
You definitely earned that one,
Oh,
man.
yeah, definitely.
So it's clearly you do it for that adrenaline too. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
that is what got you
It's
through it.
definitely
Yeah.
fun. But, yeah, like, there's a lot of hard work that goes into coyote hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. That reminded me of a question that I forgot to ask earlier. Setup time. Like, how long will you sit at a certain set before you like call it and want to move to a different area?
So typically we give it most 30 minutes, especially
Okay.
if we don't see anything. Like if we see one sitting out there that's not coming in, we'll give it a little more time. But typically if something doesn't come within 15, 25 minutes, we're on to the next spot.
Okay, gotcha.
So
And
yeah,
you-
quick turnaround.
Nice. And you had a second story, didn't you?
Yeah. So this is probably my favorite coyote hunting story, which I was actually deer hunting, but this was a couple years ago. So it was early in the morning. We were setting up on these bluffs, and then there's a river bottom with some flats on the bottom, if you can visualize that. So I was set up on the bluffs, waiting for deer, whatever. Never seen a deer. I saw these 2 coyotes just meandering their way 600 yards off into some trees. I was like, okay, cool. There's some coyotes, still no deer. And that was pretty early in the morning, right as sun was coming up. And about 9, 10 o'clock, I see these coyotes come back out of the trees and kind of heading my way. And I had my hand calls in my pocket. It's like, whatever, I'll just call these coyotes in. There's no deer around. So I'm playing rabbit distress. And these 2 coyotes, so one kind of stays back, but the one kind of starts coming in along these bluffs. And they pop their head over one of the bluffs. They're, my level now. And about 250 yards away, he pops his head up, and then, I'm getting antsy, so I take a shot, miss. I didn't know how far it was. I think I shot over it. But I was like, shoot. So I whip out my other coyote collar where I can do, like, pup distress, make a screeching pup noise, whatever. And I see one of the coyotes, just a glimpse, starting to head on top of the bluffs where I was hiding. It's like, oh, shoot. I'm not set up very good. So this coyote is either going to pop out here 80 yards away or here 40 yards away. So I have to reposition, turn my pack. I use my pack as a bipod, basically, just a rest. And I go prone. I'm sitting on this hill like this, waiting for this coyote to come out over here. And sure enough, about 5 minutes later, he pops out 40 yards away, and I dropped him.
Nice.
Like during the day, hand calling. You can't beat that.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, like, he reaches for that pup distress call. This isn't a deer hunt anymore. This is a coyote hunt now.
Exactly. But anyway, the story goes on. So that night, we moved on the other side, around the river bend, whatever, in a different area. And again, we set up for deer, don't see a deer, whatever. So like, okay, I'm going to call coyotes again. So this setup was a little different. I'm kind of on the bottom this time, hunting level with the riverbed. And behind me are the hills, just in a little different area. So I howl, whatever. Before I mentioned that, my buddy with a side-by-side dropped me off, and he went probably 500 yards down the road, or down the trail to a deer hunt too. And anyway, I start howling. I see 3 heads pop over the bluffs about 600 yards away. It's like, okay, I better get it. So I readjust, get set up to aim that way. And I'm playing rabbit. No, they're not really coming. They're kind of just sitting there. It's getting pretty dark now. You can barely see. And I see one coyote starts to come in, kind of. But then at that same time, my buddy starts coming back because it's getting dark to pick me up. I was like, shoot. So this coyote sees him and kind of starts taking off. Not in a hurry by any means, but he kind of just starts running along the bluff a little bit. And within about 5 seconds, I bark to stop him, shoot, and dropped him. I had no idea how far it was. I aimed over it a little bit, and I dropped him. Oh, man, that was exciting.
Nice.
I get up to it, and it was 400 yards away.
Wow.
That's good poke.
Yeah, never ranged it, never did anything. It was just quick thinking, boom, shoot, and I dropped him. So, yeah, that was 2 coyotes in one day, deer hunt. That was awesome.
Love it. Yep, you're out deer hunting, and then you see a coyote, it immediately turns to a coyote hunt.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Been there. So I got a deer story to tell. We got a lot of history with this buck, and it's the first one I've shot in Minnesota with a rifle in 9 years. So his name is Splits. We got this deer on camera October 21st, and I got a 3-picture sequence of him. He hit 2 different trail cameras, one where it was a side profile, and then one where he was staring at the camera. And I didn't want any other deer the rest of the year. Like, everybody else was going to live. Like, I'm chasing this one or nothing. And we actually had history with this deer too. So my dad had an opportunity at him last year. We had this young buck we called him Buddy, because he was our buddy. Everybody saw him whenever they sat, every stand. He was there all the time. So my dad thought this deer was Buddy, but he was not when he picked up his head. And there was a little issue with opening a blind window, and he just saw him running away. And we had camera pictures of him, saw a big split G2, and we're hoping he'd make it. And then fast forward to October, got pictures of him. He was big. It was like, okay. And I don't have a ton of time to hunt with a couple of kids and just a lot of things going on. And I was going to do all day sits. So first week, all day sits. Nothing. Saw deer chasing, saw some does, fawns, small bucks. Then it got to the last day, which was Saturday, the last Saturday of Minnesota season. Sunday, I had my oldest daughter's 9-year birthday party, so I was not missing that. So this was it. It was bottom of the ninth, and I sat in one stand that was really good for the morning right away, and I slowly transitioned to one deeper into the thick of the bedding area in the river bottom at 11:45, and was sitting there, and 1 o'clock. I look up and I just see a big deer coming at me, and put the scope on it, and all I saw was Splits. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's him.
Deer.
It's really him.
Yeah.
Like, this deer's real. And he started walking at me, and he kept walking, and he got to like 75 yards, and then he turned, and that was it. So it was really surreal, and I have to give a lot of credit to my dad, because I kind of shot it out of his stand.
That's perfect.
Yeah, he's got kind of some Achilles issue right now, so he can't really walk that far. And that one's way back in the nasty stuff. And he told me to go sit there. So thanks, Dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, congrats.
but
I
yeah.
know you're excited. So
Yeah, I'm literally still on cloud 9
Yeah.
on this one. So
We'll have to
it feels
share some
good.
photos for
Yes,
sure.
yes. Our editing guru will likely have pictures in there. So
Is your heart still pumping? Or
yeah, I pretty much have a perma smile going on right now. So like if you're talking and I got this big goofy grin on, that's why.
He's
So
thinking
awesome.
about splits. Yeah.
yes.
yeah.
All right. Well, Shane, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a good learning experience, hearing about all the thermals and it's pretty cool to see your excitement about this. So yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
been fun.
Thank you so much for having me on the podcast and talking thermals and predator hunting. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. So anybody that wants to get into the predator hunting thermal game, make sure to, check out the stuff we have at SCHEELS and SCHEELS.com. If you have any questions about coyotes thermal hunting, make sure to put them in like the comments of the platform that you're listening. While you're here, we'd love a 5-star review. That'd be wonderful, if you're so inclined. But thank you all for watching and see you next time.